Good morning and welcome to the Blue Earth County Board of Commissioners meeting of February 8th, 2022. So I'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In front of us, the agenda review.
Well, Mr. Chair, there are no changes to the agenda today.
I'll move the agenda.
It's been moved and seconded then by Vance. Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Okay, we have before us in our Public Works report. And if Ryan Childress, our county engineer, comes forward, we'd all appreciate that. And good morning, Ryan.
Morning, Ryan.
Good morning, Ryan. Handful of items here today. I'll start working my way through my list. The first action item included in our agenda is a resolution in support of the Mankato Area Planning Organization Highway 169 corridor study. Maple has requested the partner agencies approve a similar resolution in support of the final 169 corridor study report outcomes. And as you may recall, this was presented to the board during a work session on January 18th. So with that, I would recommend approval of the resolution included in your packet.
Move to approve.
It's been moved. Second?
Second.
Second by Kip. Okay. Any discussion or questions?
I noticed it was big news in the paper this morning. So
Yeah.
the whole roundabout and everything that was going through there. So.
When it came out, we knew that it was gonna, because there was additions to it that, changed, especially the southern part that.
Yeah, given how long we've been doing public outreach and such, though, I'm surprised that nobody's really picked up on it until this point.
Yeah.
There's been presentations at the council and the county meetings and you name it, and we've had several different virtual open houses. And just surprised to see that it's a surprise to everybody at this point in the game, but.
But I think it's because partly the media with the North Mankato, West Webster Avenue and stuff. The northern part got more attention, yeah.
So, I mean, we can give our approval, but we really don't have anything to do with it, do we? I mean, we don't have no county roads coming in there.
Not on the north end, but the south
South
end.
end.
was
South end.
several county roads.
Yeah,
Correct.
south end we do, but we don't
Yep.
have anything.
Yeah,
on
we
the
don't have any
north.
jurisdiction on the northern piece, nor I even think the central piece there is very limited. I don't think that even picked up 90, so. Well, really the stage 3 or the very southern piece was really what was most impactful to Blue Earth County, and a lot of those are smaller, lower traffic volume county stated roads.
I can understand the concern about roundabouts. I mean, I always think of highways as thoroughfares, and a roundabout doesn't make it a thoroughfare. But, you know, you all have worked on this, and so I trust that you did what you needed to do.
And get her done. Okay. Well, we have that in front. Is there anything?
No additional comments.
Okay. Then we should move.
We got a motion and a
We
second.
have it already, that's right. Okay, well then all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carries.
All right,
All
thank
right,
you.
Thank you.
Second action item is a resolution for county parks and camping shelter fees. The resolution in your packet is an update, and this was a result of staff evaluation of several different campground, regionally campground park fees, and that was also included in your board packet. It's a spreadsheet similar to this. Breaks down fees from 2021, late in 2021 was when this data was gathered. Breaks down all the fees, and at the very bottom of the sheet, it provides a side-by-side comparison of current county versus proposed county fees. We were able to sit down with the Park Advisory Committee and look over the proposed fee structure. They were in agreement with the proposed fee structure and did move and approve for this to be brought forward to the county board for acceptance. So I could very briefly run through the fee revisions. The current average non-electric campsite fee, current Blue Earth County fee is $17. We propose bringing it up closer to current averages, which would be to $20. The average electric campsite fee is the Blue Earth County campsite fee is $24. Currently, we would be bringing up to $30. Again, trying to bring all these just up to industry averages. The water service fee is currently $5 per reservation. We would be changing that to $5 per night. The average water and electric site fee would go from $27.50 to $35 per night. And the reservation fee would go from $5 to a $10 reservation fee. And as you may recall, we used to have the RT Vision software reservation fee in addition to that, that actually made the reservation fee $8. That's going away because we're changing to the ResNexus system. However, we do split those proceeds with the caretakers, so that would be a $10 fee, non-refundable, when people make their reservation. For shelters, we would be going from $40 to $50 for the large enclosed shelters. For the open shelters, $30 to $40. And the reduced nonprofit and senior shelter fee would be going from $20 to $30. In addition to that, we do offer a senior citizen discount Sunday to Thursday of $5 per day. So that's the contents of the resolution. Again, bringing it up to being consistent with regional campground fees. So I would recommend approval of that resolution.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Okay, any further questions? Clean?
Go ahead, Clean.
The senior citizen fee, is that for the shelter?
I believe it's applicable across anything, again, during those weekdays.
Okay, thank you.
How does this compare to private campgrounds? I don't camp, so I don't know.
That was what,
Just
less,
got curious.
yeah.
I know it's less, but
right. If you look in here, we have
okay,
the
they are
Jackson
similar.
KOAs and the Rochester KOAs listed. Those for electric sites are $60 to $65 a night.
oh, there it is, right there. I didn't see it. All right. Yeah, I knew it was going to be a lot cheaper.
Right.
But
I can tell you, I booked some for Glacier for this summer, and it was over $100 a night for a campsite.
is that right?
Glacier, yeah, yeah.
No one knew what a hotel would have cost, so.
Okay. Okay. Well, if there's no other discussion, I have the motion in front of us. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carries.
Right,
All right,
thank you.
thanks, Ryan.
Action item number 3 is resolution for board appointment to the Blue Earth County Park Advisory Committee of Tim Stoner. I had previously forwarded you Tim's biographical information. Tim approached us about being added to the Park Advisory Committee. We met with him. He seems like he'll be a good addition. He did join the Park Advisory Committee most recent meeting, and they did also recommend he be added to the committee. So with that, we have a resolution in front of the board for approval.
Move approval.
Kip, second by Vance. And any discussion? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, carries.
All right.
Right.
Moving right along, action item number 4 in the packet is consideration of final payment for state aid project 007-641-007. This is the County State Aid Highway 41 bridge over the LeSueur River next to the Javens Winery. It was constructed by Memo Construction. The original contract amount was $2.228 million. The final pay request amount, $22,508.69, for a total final contract amount of $2,250,868.58. I would recommend approval of final payment.
Brunder will move.
Kip,
Second.
Brunder moves, Vance seconds. Any discussion, questions?
Looks awesome.
Yeah.
Nice looking
Nice,
bridge.
nice bridge.
Great job, you guys.
This is, this is the one where there, people now, or a while back, were concerned because there wasn't the old rails on the side, and I haven't heard anything. I think everybody's they're used
It
to
should
it.
be a nice improvement. I
Yeah,
think.
it was a much better, and the
Certainly
speed
wider.
and stuff, but anyway, that's one thing. Okay, what's in front of us then, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carries.
All right. Next action item number 5, consideration of final payment for state aid project 007-657-005. This is for the County State Aid Highway 57 roundabout interchange at US Highway 14 and North Riverfront Drive by WW Blacktop. The original contract amount was $2,650,401.01. The final pay voucher amount is $27,282.75 for a total final contract amount of $2,728,275.33.
Move to approve.
Moved by Vance,
Second?
second by Colleen. Any discussion?
Another one that looks really nice,
Thank
and
you.
what a difference that makes. Holy cats. You don't get the backup coming off from 14 anymore. Amazing.
Good, yeah, good lighting, yeah, everything's good.
It's actually a roundabout I like.
Okay, well, that's a good sign then, okay.
I'm going to assume all the roundabouts she doesn't like.
Yeah.
Somebody else's bill.
That's right. All right, hearing nothing else here, then all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carries.
All right. Action item number 6, consideration of bids for a 2022 and 2023 budgeted tandem trucks. We did receive 3 bids, North Central International, Truck Center, and Nuss Truck and Equipment for International Freightliner and Mack trucks with comparable specifications. North Central International was the low bidder at $494,720 for 2 trucks. Some items to note on these purchases is that, again, per previous discussions, the board did agree to order 2 trucks to fill the 22 and 23 budgets. We've learned a lot in this last month about this situation that the state and our nation is in with respect to equipment. The state bids are already bought out, the next year contract, so we talked about doing a state bid. You couldn't even do that and probably get a truck until 2025 realistically, because you'd have to wait until the 2023 state bid comes out. So the way we do it is getting us a truck about as quickly as possible, aside from trying to find one and buy one that's already sitting there, which is pretty difficult to find what you want to meet your specifications and ensure that you're getting apples to apples. Similar to MnDOT and other counties, we're transitioning away from cable controls to electronic controls on our tandem truck fleet. So these are going to be some of the first ones that'll have that new control system. What those allow us to do is to have smarter trucks. So it allows us to have cameras in the bed that eliminates the operator from having to climb up the side of the bedside ladder and climb up the side of the truck to make sure that the bed is emptied out or is cleaned out. So that's a safety improvement. It also allows us to add rear view cameras if we choose to do so, plow wing cameras, for when especially the folks that have to plow around obstacles in town, try to eliminate some of those accidents that tend to happen when you're doing this type of work. In addition to that, it allows us to add pavement temperature sensors and air sensors, and a lot of this is moving towards doing smarter sanding and salting applications.
Right.
Obviously, there's a huge environmental agency push for salt reduction, and while we already put a fairly thin amount of salt down compared to some of our colleagues, it really comes down now to, can we monitor the applications, can we record it and integrate it with our GPS system? So this will be something we're going to be working on over the next 5+ years, and even monitoring the sanders and the speed that they're spinning and the calibrating the rates and things of that nature. So the electronic controls allow a lot of that to happen. Now, they don't come for free. They are about an $18,000 upgrade, but again, this is an investment in a piece of equipment we're going to have for well over a decade. So I think given the direction that the industry is going and environmentally we're being pushed, it certainly makes sense to move in this direction with this type of equipment. So the other item to add is a note for is that we do not have a trade-in amount, which you're accustomed to seeing on the bids. Because of the delay, I think there was considerable concern from the vendors. They would have provided us a price, but we actually are fairly confident we can get better return from those trucks by selling them on min bid instead of trading them in. So we will be getting that money back for the trade value. It's just not shown on this. We'll be selling them, and it'll likely be 2023 when we sell them. So it'll kind of throw off the budget numbers a little bit, but in the grand scheme of our global budget, the money will come back in, just will be 23 instead of 22. And we wouldn't have gotten it regardless, because we're not going to get either truck till 23. So.
Right. How much do we budget?
For the 2? Each truck was budgeted 2022, 190,000, 2023, 193,000.
Okay. So figuring the trades, I would imagine.
Right.
I don't know if we can afford that, carrying those old trucks. Is it gonna be right, Bob?
I'm really sweating it, but I think we'll survive somehow.
The value of those trucks might be worth more
Yeah.
in 2 years than they
Yeah.
are today
Yeah.
anyways. So
Yeah.
it might be a good,
It's interesting how that's been going.
Yeah.
yeah, you
Very-
might be, and they're nice trucks yet. And they got a lot of life left in them, so.
Just a comment, I think it's really important to invest in something like that. In my brain, and Kevin, correct me if I'm wrong, it's kind of like you putting the right amount of fertilizer on something in a field, and you're putting the right amount of salt and other things on the roads. I think it's a good investment.
You think so too? Okay. All right. We have a
We have
motion.
a motion, I would move it.
Okay. Second. It's been moved by Kip, seconded by Kevin. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
All right, thank you. Action item number 7 is consideration of bids for state aid project number 007598031. And this is for the County Road 169 Bridge project. This is one that we've had designed for a handful of years. And we've been waiting on state bond dollars. So we got those a little bit late in the season last year, or late in the summer, and we're now finally getting this out to bid. One of the things we've struggled with, again, is that changing specification every year. So I would note that in your board packet, the bid summary that was provided, that it stated incorrectly that the bids were under the estimate. I wish that was the case.
Yeah, I was gonna say, this is looking
That has been
awesome.
revised and posted online that they were over. But we did have an engineer's estimate of $712,477.50. And we received 4 bids. Minowa Construction was the apparent low bid at $777,000 and $777,715, which was 9.16% over the engineer's estimate. We're certainly seeing a trend with inflation across the board. We're seeing it on equipment, and we're seeing it on projects. So while this is frustrating, I'm not surprised, maybe even to an extent grateful that it's only that.
The 10% is,
Right.
yeah.
So, and we're always using historical bid prices and trying to kind of speculate what inflation we're going to see. I would still recommend approval of this. We do have a state bridge bonds that will cover the bridge portion of the project. I did provide a copy of the bid abstract for your information as well.
Okay.
So with that, I would recommend award of that contract.
All right. So moved. It's been moved by Kevin.
Second.
Second by Vance. Anybody have any other questions, discussion yet? All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
All right, thank you. Action item number 8 is consideration of a cooperative construction agreement for state aid project 007607-11 for County State Aid Highway 7 in the city of Mapleton. This is for the reconstruction of Borkert Street, from Borkert Street to approximately 1/2 mile south in front of the new K-12 school. So this project does include, this agreement does include a estimated cost share where the county pays for 90% of the CASA eligible items, and then the city pays for their little bit of utilities, their 10% of the road, and for a share of the new sidewalk, approximately 50% of the new sidewalk.
I'll move approval.
It's been moved by Kip.
Second.
Second by Colleen. Any discussion or questions?
Be a nice project.
All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
Safe roads to school.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
Should be a nice improvement.
Yeah.
Information updates. With our projects, County State Highway 40 and 151 bridge replacements, CASA 40 is advertised for bids and will be opened on March 2nd for March 8th board award. County Road 151 plans are being finalized and will be bid this spring. We're trying to kind of space those 3 out So that we'll have 169 the beginning part of the year, 40 in the middle, and 151 closer to the end. Just because we're thin on staff, still carrying over the second half of that big turnback project, as well as some other significant work going on this year. 7 in Mapleton, again, the project is advertised for bids to be opened on February 16th for March 8th board award. I saw 10 in 72 in Vernon Center is hitting a little bit of a rough patch. The plans are submitted to state aid. Comments are expected back later this week. They will then be submitted to the USDA for their final approval. The overall project is still running $1 to $1.5 million short of funding. The city is working on exploring funding options through the USDA and other opportunities. They're anticipating a bid letting in March, but that will be funding dependent. Yep.
$1 million?
1 to 1.5 million. So they were looking at, could they somehow...
So hard for a small community.
Right.
So hard.
Could they somehow bundle so that they maybe had bid alternatives of things that they could drop out, narrowing streets up, things of that nature, eliminating sidewalk, but it's tough when you've got to replace those major utilities like that.
Underneath the road.
And to get hit with this inflation is obviously...
I was supportive of the narrowing up the roads, and if there's not a lot of parking on it, on County Road 27 in Eagle Lake, with the plow, that road is very narrow. On the north side, it's pretty tight.
When people park there.
Yep. They did both the sidewalks. On the south side, there's not very many people that park on the south, on the whole south end of that road. But we were driving down that road yesterday, and that extra 4 feet didn't look like nothing in the summer.
Right.
But with a little snow on the sides, those cars are parked out there quite a ways. There's places where, if they're parked out too far, you have a heck of a time getting 2 cars through there, which slows traffic down. So, I don't know if I'd not support it again or not at this point, but it's just an observation that I had.
Yeah, we've seen that with Vernon Center too, or I'm sorry, not Vernon Center, Good Thunder.
Good Thunder, yeah.
And it's kind of balancing,
Yeah.
those needs, right? Because something like that where it's not a major thoroughfare at that point, because most of the traffic falls off and goes east or west to Highway 14 or to Mankato. It's how do you balance the extra cost compared to the transportation need and the future maintenance costs associated with it.
Yeah, I just think if I was looking at another one, I'd say, well, how much parking is on the road? There's a lot of apartments and older parts on the northern end, on the other side of 17.
Yep.
So it's just a little more problematic there. Yep. Like I said, the south side seems to be fine, and then they don't have the sidewalk on both sides on the south side, so I think it's easier to push the snow back a little further.
Correct.
On the north side, they have sidewalks on both sides, which I didn't understand why they did that, but I think that might have been a little easier to move snow, but just an observation when you mentioned narrow roads.
Center, they are the block through is going to be 44 feet because of some of the concerns that they had with the lumberyard and things like that, and the parking that happens there, and then it narrows where there's less on-street parking, and again, a lot of that traffic falls off further to the east.
Like I said, I think it definitely slows the traffic down, which isn't a bad thing.
Right.
In town. I don't have...
That was one of my observations when I had the meeting with the city. I said, I've seen 4, with the little green guy holding out the flag, or slow down for kids and things like that, signs. And I said, one of the best things you can do if you're really worried about speed is you've got to narrow that roadway up, because a 55-foot wide road is like an expressway.
Yeah, it's a big road.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
11 from 20 to 68, final plans have been submitted to MnDOT for approval. Right-of-way acquisition is progressing well, however, there's a lot of landowners to meet with, so Jack's on the case. He meets with them several times throughout the process. Very facilitative, that takes time. Bid date is determined, to be determined, likely to be late March or early April. CASA 12 from 26.
Just 1 second, I just wanted to let you know that I talked with someone that's on 20 yesterday, and they were very impressed with the way Jack came in and presented his first round, and they thought they did a nice job.
Yes,
so I just wanted to pass that
very
along.
good with it.
And Jack does a good job, but just heard it yesterday, and it's still in my brain. So
Good, thank you. 12 from 26 east to 2. Plans are being revised and resubmitted to MnDOT state aid. Right-of-way acquisition is beginning. Ryan's starting to work on that. And bid date is to be determined, likely to be in April. 16 from the Le Sueur River to 90. Design is resuming. Bids will be this summer, this could end up being kind of like County Road 27. We're hopeful they'll get a little bit of work done, and it might be the lion's share of it happening in 2023, just because of challenges with our staff and time to get these types of projects out. But I want to get that one off the books, to bid. 13 from US 169 to CASA 1 is a 2023 project. Project design is beginning with SRF. And same thing for CASA 26 from 57 to 22. Project design is beginning with Boltman Mink. Our 2022 overlays, bids will be opened on March 2nd for bituminous overlays on CASAs 5, 14, 27, 34, 41, 47, and 48. So that's our construction projects update. And one other item I included in here for your information. We did talk about how inflation is hitting us pretty hard right now. I do have good news on the back end. We did receive our notice of our annual funding for our county state aid highway funds that make up a large portion of our budget. And our 2022 estimate from last fall was estimated to be like $9,798,505. That's combined maintenance and construction dollars, which is a 60-40 split. Okay. That was down from the 2020 distribution, which was $10,858,116. Dramatically down. The 2022 commissioner's order I just received last week was a welcome surprise, learning that our 2022 distribution for county state highway maintenance and construction dollars collectively will be $11,386,353, or approximately 16% above the estimated amounts. So that's good news. Gets us back to pre-pandemic county state aid highway funding levels. At this time, we just plan to use that funding for absorbing inflation. We're seeing these projects obviously coming in 10% high, and we're out in February opening bids. So I anticipate that's just going to probably continue to escalate with respect to seeing bids over the engineer's estimate. So we do have some cushion there to absorb that. Our local option sales tax has been performing actually very well as well, in addition to the county state highway funds being increased. So I think with that being said, we'll be able to cover all the projects that we have budgeted, even if we do see 10 to 15% inflation. We're hopeful after we get some of these big projects bid out that we'd be able to still replace a couple of box culverts yet this year that we've got designed that have been sitting on the shelf now for some time. So time will tell with those. Those would be a late, probably a summer bid, midsummer bid, and then try to get them done this fall.
What are you finding is the largest increase?
I think it's all over the board, honestly.
Just across the board?
Materials are up, labor's up.
Labor's up.
Everything.
Fuel's obviously up a lot, which that then goes into everything, and so it's very concerning. Last information item is a copy of our Blue Earth County Emerald Ash Borer Management Plan. So that was included in your packet. I'm not going to go into depth on it because we actually plan to have I'll take a step back. This was a collective project between Blue Earth County, and we actually used Minnesota State Mankato Recreation, Parks, and Leisure Services Department. So this was a capstone project for their senior class, or a few of their senior students. And we have a partnership agreement with the college where we provide these types of projects for their seniors to do these capstones. You may recall they did a Fort Lahilier Monument study a few years ago and presented to the Park Advisory Committee. So our goal is that during the late March Park Advisory Committee meeting, or that banquet, we'll actually have the students come in and make a presentation on all of these.
Oh, great.
So, nothing terribly earth-shattering over the next few years. You're going to see a lot of ash trees getting taken down. The bigger ones that are at the back nine of their life cycle, it doesn't pay to treat them. So we're going to be identifying a lot of ash trees. We're going to be seeing those taken down, and then we're going to have to start supplanting with new trees. So it's going to be an unfortunate hit to our parks as far as the aesthetics go. You can't replace a 24-inch diameter tree very easily, and it takes a lot of time to grow those back and get that shape back. But a lot of it is centered around managing liability. So where there are ash trees that could die, that could fall on a campsite or a highly occupied area, we're going to target those. The ones that are out along a trail or along a wooded area that are not occupied frequently, those are going to be a different story. We'll just kind of continue to monitor those areas. So.
How many it's expensive to treat a tree.
It is. There's some cost in the plan about, and they actually tabulated how many trees we would anticipate treating and the cost associated with it. So we also have treatment estimates about $7,000 worth of treatment. So that'll be a minor bump that we will start seeing in our Parks Department budget to try to preserve those trees that still have a fair amount of life left.
Do we sell out the removal, or do we do some of that in-house?
Ideally, we'll try to get a lot of it done in-house. We may end up trying to pursue grants for some equipment, like maybe a stump grinder or a mini excavator to use on the trails or something along those lines. And there will be times where we're just going to flat out have to have.
Or at least get somebody to take it down.
Right. Yeah,
We
if
don't
there's
have
a
equipment to
big,
get a big tree down.
dangerous one, you know, yeah, and how bad are you going to tear up the ground running our excavator out there or whatnot, so.
If we get it down low, we can deal with it.
Yep, exactly.
So you can grind them? You don't have to burn them or anything?
The trees you have to burn or take to a certified place to dispose of them.
That's what I figured.
The stumps I'm talking about, stump grinder.
Okay. Dutch elm disease revisited.
Right.
It's one after another, okay.
So with that, that concludes my report.
Thank you,
Thank
Ryan.
you very much.
Thanks.
Thank
you,
Ryan.
Have a good rest of the day.
You
Thank
too.
you. All right.
Are you coming out for the truck stop open house, or?
I wasn't aware that there was one.
Yep.
3:30?
I've got a.
You helped build the road, so.
Yeah. I don't know if I can make it though.
All right, we'll be there.
All at 3.
That's today.
Yeah.
I have stopped and bought gas a couple of times though, so. All right.
Thanks, Ryan.
All right, thanks, Ryan.
Free Press did a nice article last week, I think.
Oh, did they? I didn't
Yeah.
see it.
Yeah. All right. At this time, we have our county attorney and his good report. Morning, Pat.
Morning, Pat.
Okay.
Morning, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. If you have any specific questions regarding the annual report, please let me know. I just wanted to bring a couple of things to your attention. You know, our numbers are up in some areas and down in some areas, but we continue to have the conversations regarding the overdose death cases, and again, having 8, probably soon to be 9 open homicide cases in the office can be a little bit taxing from a resources standpoint. Also, I thought that you should be aware, I know there's been plenty of information in the media regarding recruitment and retention for law enforcement. Well, that's trickling down to county attorneys' offices. When I recently checked, there's 22 openings on the Minnesota County Attorneys Association website for various counties throughout the state. One county up north is giving a $4,500 bonus for anybody that might apply. Martin County is starting out an attorney, a frontline attorney, probably close to $15,000 more than what we would pay. This is an ongoing issue. It's happening across the state. We just recently had an opening. 1 person applied. Olmsted County had an opening. 1 person applied. You get into some of these areas up north, nobody will apply, and it's just a constant continuing recruitment tool. So we're seeing that trickling down to us as well, but we'll continue to do what we can with the resources that we have, but I just wanted to make you aware of that. And if you have any specific questions, more than happy to field anything.
Any questions of Pat?
How many, I mean, of course, this has hit the news again. How many no-knock warrants have we had in Blue Earth County?
I'd have to go back and look, but it's the exception, it's not the rule.
That's what I figured.
Right, you know, the vast majority of search warrants are not going to announce. The vast majority of search warrants are executed, not even nightcap, they're executed during the day. It's only in situations where public safety is involved, and if there is a knock and announce warrant, typically the tactical response team, which is a jurisdictional team is called out. So, you know, the last time that they were called out, actually, I believe, was for the incident down in Austin, but I'm not sure that there's been a no-knock warrant for quite some time, but we don't see those very often.
I'm wondering what the criteria we have for a no-knock warrant.
Well, it's a statutory criteria, and it's also, you know, and the last legislature, they tweaked things a little bit, but it not only goes through a normal filter, but it goes through potentially, and it would here locally, go through the chief law enforcement officer for the agency in question. So whether that would be the sheriff or whether that would be the director of public safety or the chief, wherever. So they make the ultimate decision on whether to apply for one, and then ultimately the decision is a district court judge on whether to issue it or not.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Pat?
Nope, very
Oh,
good. That's
yep,
good.
yep, thank you. Yep,
Thank you.
for the report, Pat. All right. We have Bob in administration.
Well, Mr. Chair and Commissioners, the first item is the county board minutes from January 25th.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Kevin, seconded by Vance. Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carries.
Next are the bills for the 2 weeks indicated.
So moved.
Been moved by Vance.
Second.
Second by Kip. And look them over. Any questions? All right. All right, then, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. All right. And we
Mr.
have-
Chair and Commissioners, item number 5 in your packet is the Human Resources Department agenda. We do have one action item for the board's consideration today. And that is authorization to initiate recruitment for a librarian at basically just under 3/4 time. We had a resignation in the library of a full-time clerk position, and the library director has indicated from kind of a staffing and strategic standpoint that a recruitment of a librarian would be beneficial to balance out kind of our adult and children's wings. And so we're suggesting that we shift that full-time clerk position to this 0.74 FTE librarian. So the librarian is a little bit higher level position, but bringing it in at a part-time level would actually save a little bit over our current budget. So the action really is to get the slot established with the board's approval, but the cost implications are actually a downward departure from our current budget.
It's been moved by Vance,
Second?
and seconded by Clean. Is there anything? Is there anything? Sounds like a
Just-
thing.
Just a quick question. In order to get benefits, how many hours do you have to work?
It's 30 hours a week, so at 0.75. So this would be just under the benefit eligible. Part-timers still get vacation and sick accruals on a prorated basis, but the insurance coverage would not be there.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Anything else? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
All right, then we have a lot of information items again, so it continues to be a very active environment in our Human Resources Department, but we did fill a custody officer in our jail. We also filled a mechanic and field service technician position in our Public Works Department, and another correctional officer or part-time corrections officer in the jail has been filled. We had a promotion of a clerical specialist to a senior account clerk, moving from our Community Corrections Department to Human Services, and then ultimately have begun recruitment to refill that clerical specialist 2 position. Excuse me. We did have a voluntary demotion of a sergeant in the jail, moving to a civil process specialist in the sheriff's office. And so we've initiated recruitment to refill that correctional sergeant position. We also had a lateral transfer of a social worker in our child protection area to our child foster care and licensing area. And so we've initiated a recruitment to refill that child protection specialist. We did, again, have a resignation of a correctional officer in the jail, and so we've initiated recruitment to refill that position. We also had another part-time correctional officer that has resigned and have begun recruitment to refill that position. We had a resignation of a eligibility specialist or financial worker in our human services area, so we've begun recruitment to refill that. We also had a resignation of a word processing operator in our human services area. Another resignation of a 911 dispatcher, so we've initiated recruitment to fill that. And then a resignation of a registered nurse in our human services area and begun recruitment to refill that. And then lastly, a revision of a start date of an eligibility specialist by a few days.
Lots of activity there.
I'm hoping we're doing exit interviews so we know, are they leaving because for more money? Are they leaving because their life has changed? Do they dislike their job?
Are they just retiring?
Are they just retiring? Why are there so many? And is it because pay? All those things. I guess I'm really curious as to, and I know workforce is a huge issue right now. I think with COVID, some people decided they could do a different job, or maybe they could live on one salary as opposed to two. I'm just really curious as to the reasons people are choosing to leave or not.
Yeah, we do get some of that information through the communication that occurs at the time of the resignation, but yeah, we can get more certainly.
I think that'd be good.
Yeah, that'd be all right. Okay.
All right, Mr.
Next.
Chair and Commissioners, I have number 6 in your packet is a memo and agreement being recommended for David Drone and Associates, their human resources. The board is, I think, aware that we had planned to do a classification study to ensure proper placements of job descriptions in a pay class. We were planning to do that as part of our 2022 budget and work in HR. As we've watched the labor market and inflation this fall, we started to discuss ways to ensure that we remain competitive as an employer. And so staff have explored the components of a market study and are currently recommending the county complete both a classification and a compensation study countywide. Quite frankly, excuse me, staff have been a little bit disappointed with the customer service of our current consultant, and so we sought some additional proposals, specifically from DDA Human Resources. And I will tell you that DDA has been very responsive and has demonstrated both a desire and ability to perform the tasks that we are requesting. They focus on public sector employers in Minnesota, so they understand the work that Minnesota counties do and our various roles here at the county. As we shared with the board at last week's work session, there are a number of phases to this endeavor that will take some time, but what we've heard from DDA is that they're poised to begin almost immediately if the board should support this recommendation. This will obviously be a project that will touch all positions, so communication with our employees will be important as we proceed. So with all that said, staff are recommending approval of a professional service contract with DDA Human Resources in the amount of $80,500.
I'll move approval.
Colleen moves. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Kevin. Any discussion, further discussion?
I think it's important to be looking at this, especially when you look at what we just looked at. Seeing where we fit and that we have things in the right order. I was here when we originally did the first one, and I think it was flawed from the beginning because they were different everywhere in every county in this state. So I'm excited about this. I think it's an important thing for us to look at and for our employees to understand. I'm really excited about the transparency that we're going to be seeing through this. I think that's really important. So I'm glad we're doing this.
So just so I'm clear, Mr. Chair,
Sure.
classification, when I read that, I mean, we talked market study. Is that basically what this is? I mean, it's worded a little differently, so I just want to make sure I'm clear.
The market study would probably fall under that compensation study
portion. Okay.
component. Classification really is about the placement of different positions to maintain pay equity, which is a requirement of local public employers. So the classification ensures that like types of work gets compensated equally. The market study really does do some work to compare other public sector employers with our pay so that we remain competitive in that environment.
It's really a complicated process, and I'm glad to hear that you think these people have the expertise to do this. I think that's really important.
I think it's important to note that we had a work session that we went over this and had quite the talks with the DDA and came to this decision, am coming to this decision with a lot of background and a lot of that, so this wasn't just brought up today. This is something that has been brought up to the full board, and we had a work session with this.
Yeah, it's good to do it.
No.
All right. Maybe no further discussion. Those all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carries.
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, item number 7 in your packet is a memo regarding jail health services. Again, at the last work session, the captain in the sheriff's office did present information about medical services and mental health services in the jail. There seemed to be some interest from the board in increasing the level of support in the jail using option 3, which is on page 120 in your packet. This would increase the amount of nursing services in the jail from 40 hours a week to 60 hours per week, and increasing the mental health services from 6 hours a week to 12 hours per week. This is an unbudgeted expenditure, but I think given what we've learned about jail health and the liability risks associated with our facility, that this is an investment that will be wise at this point in time, and so staff are recommending approval of this adjustment.
I'll move approval.
It's been moved by Clean. Second.
I'll second it.
And seconds it. Any discussion, questions?
Again, this was discussed at the work session the other day, and I thought Paul Barta did a nice job outlining it and educated us. I mean, we all know this is going on, but it was nice to see Paul had some numbers to kind of tie this together, and then some of them concerns about the custody staff trying to fulfill medications when they've got other things to deal with. I thought we had good discussion, and I certainly think this is a good idea to do this.
And I think Blue Earth County has taken a lead on mental health issues in the jail for years now. We're one of the leaders in the state of Minnesota, and this just goes to show that we keep on backing up and saying, hey, we know that the folks that end up in jail, there's a large portion of them have mental health issues, and we're going to work on that.
All right,
Sure.
Kevin?
Option 3, I fully support that. The unbudgeted part of option 3 would be the difference between the current, not the entire
That is
option 3, correct?
So it's about $107,000 increase.
I think that we're going to see more mental health issues across the board. And I'm so glad we're doing this. I appreciated the Free Press's editorial saying the state should not be taking mental health dollars away from counties. Because I think it's going to be more prevalent now than it has been in the past.
Yeah, I think so. All right, hearing no other discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Thank you, Bob.
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, I have number 8 in your packet is the fourth quarter donations. The monetary donations are primarily in our library area, and so you'll see a number of different donations, especially larger ones related to the summer reading program, and so we certainly appreciate the support of our community in that area. We also had some in-kind donations that are listed on the second page. At the top, though, kind of not in-kind so much as a major donation, was the Waldron Estate, and so that house has now been sold, and those proceeds will be utilized by the library going forward. And then we also, on the third page, have time that's been given to the library, and we appreciate all those people supporting the library. So at this point, we're asking the board to accept these donations.
Okay,
Move to approve.
it's been moved by Vance to accept them, and a second by Colleen. Yeah. Any comments? All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. All right, then we have our January financials.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Item number 9 in the packet is the financial status report. Obviously, being the first month of our fiscal year, the numbers look a little unusual, but total revenue for the month was just under $2 million, with expenses just under $7 million. So we're in that period where we're drawing from reserves. Not a whole lot more to report beyond kind of typical expenditure pattern for the first month of the year. In terms of the Ponderosa, same sort of story, with revenue slightly below expenses in the first month of the year, but we anticipate that recovering as the year progresses. The second page then has our cash and investment balances. Towards the bottom, you'll see a total county funds line of $127,660,439. So, maintaining that strong cash position. Be happy to answer any questions that the board might have.
Any questions from Bob regarding the
Nope, I
financials?
really like this
Yeah.
report, though.
Yep,
I
yeah,
appreciate it.
yeah.
And it's easy to understand.
Yeah,
Mhm.
just really lays things out nice for us.
Very complete. All right. I guess, yeah, we should accept that.
Yeah, there's no action needed,
No
Mr.
action
Chair.
required,
We just
so, yeah.
provide that as an informational item. So
Yep.
now you're at the commissioner report.
Yep, just our commissioner reports, and let's start with Kip, am I right? I mean, Kevin, we'll start with Kevin, I should say, on the right. All the way down.
Way to the right.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Right.
Since our January 25th last board meeting, certainly we had the lunch after that, the work session February 1st, as well as department heads on the 2nd. I participated, represented Blue Earth County in the LeSueur One Watershed, One Plan meeting since our last meeting, as well as the Gaberva, Greater Blue Earth River Basin Authority, and ditch meetings on JD 36 and CD 79, as well as the Rapidan Dam. So that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. Kip?
Easy. The few items that Kevin mentioned already, department head, but I did have a few emergency communication board and my South Central Emergency Communication Board, EMS board. On all three of those, things are going very well. Getting a couple new grants in on our emergency communication board, so we're moving the process through on that. The work session was referenced several times today for our meeting. Planning and zoning, we only had one item, relatively straightforward, so we'll see that later this month. And then yesterday I had my MRCI board finance meeting and our full board meeting, and again, MRCI ended very strong with some COVID money and the programs we have. We still have the challenges with trying to find labor. We've got about 40 vans ready to load up and get out there and provide our service, but we got nobody to drive them and operate them. So we're working on trying to increase the pay for those first starting people and doing a lot of good things. So they're optimistic that they'll get them filled up and operating here shortly. So
All right. Thanks,
that's
Kip.
my report, Mr. Chair.
All right, Vance?
All right, after our last board meeting, I had my first NACO equity and grant making Zoom, 3-hour Zoom, with folks from across the country, trying to work on racial equity and how we can try to kind of put things together. There's going to be 4 of them throughout the year. The next day, I had a TDS Tech Committee meeting. I had a Transportation Alliance Board meeting, and I had a NACO Transportation Committee meeting. On February 1st, we had our work session, and we had our Rapidan Dam discussion. February 2nd, we had a department head meeting, and then I think both Kevin and I listened to the NACO farm webinar that was on. So February 3rd, I had a interview with KMSU. Actually, my wife and I interviewed up at KMSU in reference to our electric car. And I brought up the $5.4 million appropriation that Blue Earth County will be receiving, and we had a pretty good discussion on different issues that have to do with having an EV car. I had a South Central Towards Zero Death meeting, and then later on I had the Blue Earth County Library Board meeting. And on February 4th, I had an MSSA, Minnesota Social Services Association legislative Zoom meeting. It was going to be a breakfast, but because of COVID, they decided to do a Zoom this year. So, and that's the end of my report, sir.
Thank you, Vance. Colleen?
On the 26th, I had Southwest Minnesota Housing Partnership. We talked about the partnerships with Otto Bremer, the Council on Nonprofits, Ameriprise, NEA, LISC, National Equity Fund, all building together in order to do affordable housing in southern Minnesota. We have some open board seats, so if anybody's interested, we're looking for a few people to serve on the board. And they have a new communications person. Her name is Lillian Mamorex. I'm mispronouncing her last name horribly. She grew up in Mapleton, moved away, and now wants to be back home. So she's in the Mankato office, which is up at Homestead. Southwest has moved all their offices into Homestead. So lovely young woman. So, and coming home again. So that's a good thing. On the 27th, I had Mapping Prejudice, and we're trying to move it forward again. MSU is doing some work looking at the deeds and with students, and that's going really well. The high school has been working with students to look at some of the deeds. Their problem is Chromebooks don't intersect very well with Microsoft. So trying to figure that out. We're going to be looking for community volunteers in the future, but we plan on using both MSU and the high school students also in this process. They're putting together a prospectus of goals for the community. And Mike Stahlberger said that the vendor is extremely supportive of this, our vendor, at looking at this. So, and they're willing to kick some money into it. So that's a really good thing. There'll be training in the future, and it's probably about a 4-hour training for community members to figure out how to read the deeds, what they need to look for, and more than it's more than one eye on a deed. It's probably about 4 or 5 on each deed. So, and the Historical Society is putting together historic images for this. So, I think it's going to be a great community partnership, and it'll be interesting just to see when they start mapping it where those covenants are.
So do those students then get credit, or I mean, do they, how much time?
It's in a class.
It'd be a class?
It's a class, yeah. Jill Cooley is the professor at MSU,
Okay.
and Tim Megan is the teacher at the high school. And they're putting a lot of hours into this. We really appreciate that. Work session on the 1st, department heads on the 2nd. The 3rd and 4th, I went to AMC's Tribal Community Relations. It was one of the best conferences I've had in a long time. I was curious, I had no idea who would be there. It filled a ballroom. And it was primarily county commissioners, county staff, and there were 5 chair people from the tribes. There's 11 sovereign tribes in the state. 10 of them are part of the Minnesota Indian Affairs Council. Upper Sioux has chosen not to belong, which I found interesting. But we went through the history. And Bobby DeChamp, who used to be a Cook County Commissioner, is now the tribal chair in Grand Portage.
Yep.
So it was good to see Bobby. He's a good guy.
He's a
He did all their
monster of a
transportation.
man.
He's a big guy.
Big
And
guy.
then Tim Summers from Beltrami chairs the committee, who's also a Native American.
Yep.
So as our community here is looking at equity and inclusivity and a scan across our community, this really ties into it because it's all about the history and understanding that history as to why things happen, what family life is like. I mean, it was fascinating. I took miles of notes. None of you would be interested in it probably, but
Don't be so sure.
It was really good. And they're going to send out all the presenters and any videos or slides they have. So I'll share that with you all. It was really, really good. As you all know, the history needs to be said in order to understand the future. So it was really good. Diversity Council has changed its bylaws, and now instead of organizations appointing someone like I am, they're looking for individuals to serve on the board as opposed to organizations serving on the board. So if anybody's interested, they would love to have you apply. So
They let the rest of you stay on yet, or what? Or like for us?
it's up to us if we want to stay or not.
Okay, as an individual.
Yeah. So that's the end of my report.
Okay, thank you, Colleen.
Thank you.
Okay, mine, Thursday, the 27th January, at our Partners for Housing Committee meeting, and I want everybody to realize that we do have our Pedal Past Poverty event coming up. And as much as my team really liked it in the Blue Earth County parking ramp, we are having it at a very nice facility, the MRCI building out on their campus, up on the east side of town. That's is probably not as used as much as they would like. And,
Whose district is that in?
Not mine.
Oh, no, it's actually,
It's yours.
I know that far? I don't know.
Doesn't matter.
I don't know, I think it was.
Yeah, they got that great big space out there. It's like 10,000 square foot.
Or I thought it was 8.
Did they-
I've seen the building because we looked last
Did the
time.
school buy an MRCI building or?
School district is buying the old
Yeah.
building.
Bought the
Yeah.
building.
That's supposed to be the,
So it's,
Early childhood.
it's an 8,000 square pre-stressed concrete. It's the kind of buildings I like.
yeah, it's
So
all
all
open
we
space.
have, so yeah, so it'll be good there. That does mean that I expect everybody to be contributors, and I'll get the information to you, so. I want you to know that when
What
they
date-
listed the
what date's
teams,
that again?
it's the 26th of February, it's a Saturday, that our team was 5th highest of all the teams last year. And the only ones that beat us, they got more of God on their side. It was the nuns.
Sisters.
So, they had more teams, but there was 4 above. Yeah. Anyway, so you have to help make that possible again. And then we had our work session, of course, on the 1st of February. Department heads on the 2nd. And we did have our Maple meeting where we approved the 169 corridor and all the other items. We approved them for moving forward. And then did have the All Seasons Arena. We met on Friday last week, and we're looking at trying to do some upgrades to their present facility, and we're looking at beyond what will happen. We got a little bit of work there to do, and good people like Bob are helping, so we'll see how that works out.
I have 2 grandkids playing hockey. I get to go to that place a lot.
Well, we hope you enjoy it there,
It's cold.
Grandma. Yeah, I got to dress warm. Okay, that concludes my report, and if there's nothing else for the good of the order,
We need to recess.
recess. Yeah, recess for lunch.
Second?
It's been moved and second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, carries. I will not make it for lunch because I have 2 grandchildren and they're there now.